So good afternoon, everyone. We are moving towards third session of day one, which is by resource person Dr. Shivani Desai, Clinical and Medical Affairs, Serum Institute of India, Private Limited, Pune. She is going to talk on a topic: vaccination, a way forward to combat health challenges. Madam had done her PhD with distinction from JJT University, Jaipur. She had done her M.Pharm from NMIMS University, Mumbai. She is currently working as Clinical and Medical Affairs, Serum Institute of India Private Limited. She also worked as assistant professor at D.Y. Patil Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, Pune, and also at Srimati B.N.B. Swaminarayan Pharmacy College, Vapi. She also had the experience of medical writer at DocPlexus Online Services Limited, Pune. She also headed the Research and Public Relation Department at Orange Hospital, Pune. She is a recipient of many awards and recognition. Some of these are Young Researcher Award in 2024, AICTE Lilavati Award in 2021-22, Outstanding Contribution in Research Category Award, Best Mentor Award. She also grabbed many prizes during her presentations. Talking about her publications, she had 3 patents, 47 publications, and 18 paper presentations. She had applied and received for 8 grants. She has a citations of 244, H index of 8 and I-10 index of 6. Madam is now going to talk on a topic: vaccination, a way forward to combat health challenges. With this brief introduction, I would like to ask Madam, please start your session.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes.
So this screen is visible on full screen, right?
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you so
you can start. Yes.
much. Thanks. So thank you so much to the organizers for this opportunity for this, to give a talk on this very exciting problem. Actually, I cannot say, but a very exciting solution to the leading problems which we have today and in the world of global health. So I'll be talking on the role of vaccines in navigating global health challenges. Here, before starting the session, I would like to tell you that initially we'll be targeting the very important, not all, but very important problems which we have in the healthcare sector, which are related to infectious diseases and non-infectious diseases. And then we'll be seeing the role of vaccination, like how the vaccination can combat these challenges. So we all know what is a vaccine. Vaccine is basically the product which we give which contains live or killed form of the bacteria or viruses. When we give this vaccine to the child or to any of the adult population also, it activates the immune system. And when we really encounter the main bacteria or the virus in the real life, in that case, we will already be having the antibodies in our bodies to fight those infections. So I'll be giving a brief history, just covering the important points which I have taken from WHO website. So when we talk about vaccines, it is not a story of 10 or 20 or 50 years or a century. It is a very old story. So vaccination was something which people even tried in the 15th century. I'll just yeah. So this first part, okay. So people even tried from the as early as 15th century. At that time, the people were actually intentionally exposing the healthy people to smallpox, and the people who were exposed, they were becoming immune to smallpox. Okay, it means the smallpox was not able to create the disease in the people who were exposed, intentionally exposed to the smallpox virus. Then finally, this concept was adapted by Dr. Edward Jenner in 1796 when he developed the vaccine to immunize the people against smallpox. Going forward, in 1885, Louis Pasteur successfully prevented rabies through this vaccination approach. Okay, he was able to develop the rabies vaccine. Then there was a mass vaccination campaign had begun in the year 1967. This mass vaccination campaign was begun by World Health Organization, that is WHO, and that intensified the smallpox eradication program. In 1971, there was a very important discovery which happened wherein a single vaccination was made using three indicators. That is, first is the mumps, measles, and rubella. So now currently what we call as MMR vaccine. These three components were combined in a single vaccination. So this was a very important discovery because after this MMR development, development of MMR vaccine, various other combination vaccines are now tried and tested. In 2016, when we come post 2000, so in 2016, there was a successful program which was run against meningitis. So here the meningitis vaccine was publicly available, and it was greatly helping the people, the children, to get immune to meningitis, pneumococcal meningitis. Finally, in 2021, when we talk about, that is the most recent period wherein the COVID had come up. So here also the WHO had, guided the people or asked them to prioritize vaccination against the COVID-19 virus. So this was the brief background about the development or the whole journey of vaccination. So it started from 15th century and it is now becoming a boom for increasing the protection against various infectious diseases. In this presentation, we'll be discussing a very basic details about the vaccinology because we all are very well known about what is vaccine and how it works. So I'll not take much time. Then we will go forward in seeing the challenges which are there in the global health currently. Then the impact of vaccines on global health, like how the vaccines has or vaccinology has improved the global health. Then what are the advances which we are having right now in the vaccine technology? Then coming to the non-communicable disease also. So when we talk about vaccine, we usually talk about the infectious diseases. However, the vaccine plays a very important role in the non-communicable diseases also, which are not infectious. Okay? Oh, sorry, the non-communicable disease also means the infection which cannot be caused from one person to other. Then there is, then in the last, we'll be also seeing the future of vaccinology, like how vaccines will further help the global scenarios. So coming to vaccinology, it is a science of vaccine development. Its development means the research which is going on in the vaccine development. Then once the research is completed, the preclinical, clinical trials are completed, then the production, mass production of the vaccines, and then once it is produced, how the vaccines are distributed. So this whole study, the whole science, development, production, and distribution is combinedly called as vaccinology. So as I just told you before some time, that vaccines will be the live or killed form of the viruses or bacteria, organisms, which will be given into the body. And because of these vaccines, the body's immune system will be trained to create antibodies. So once we give the vaccines, the human body will create the antibody. And when the real infection happens, and that when the child or the adult comes in contact with the real organism through the infection, at that time, these antibodies will help to protect against the infection. Okay. Now, when we talk about vaccines, we usually think that vaccines are given to children. Correct. It is given to children. But apart from children, it will also produce or provide protection throughout the life and at different stages. Even the younger children, adults, older adults, geriatric populations, all these people can be protected through vaccination. And currently, WHO has estimated that only the childhood vaccination, only the vaccines which are given to children, only that much part is actually saving 4 million plus lives every year. So when we talk about children, it is about 4 million lives, saving 4 million lives every year. But we also have vaccines for adults and for geriatric population. So overall, the number of lives which are saved by vaccination is way more than 4 million. I won't go into details of the schedule because you can it is self-explanatory. So first, this there are three charts. The first chart is on the vaccination starting from the birth to when the child becomes 4 to 6 years. So these are the different vaccines which we can give to the which we have to give to the children as per the year, as per their age. Okay. This is the schedule of vaccinating the children right from age 7 years old to 18 years old. So these are the teenager vaccinations, you can say. Okay. And this is the vaccination of for adult. This is the vaccination schedule for adults. So starting from 19 years to more than 65 years. So we have vaccines for all the age groups, and one should be very well versed with this. These schedules you can find on this website, which I have mentioned below. It is on cdc.gov. Now, there are two major bodies. There are a lot of good regulators. I mean, a lot of regulators or the bodies which are actually promoting vaccinations. The two of them are WHO and Gavi. So, WHO is World Health Organization. Apart from World Health Organization, I've forgotten to mention here, it is UNICEF also. And along with WHO and UNICEF, there is a third alliance, which is known as Global Alliance for Vaccination and Immunization. So this is called Gavi, GAVI. So these are the bodies which are governing the vaccination schedules, whether it is happening as per the schedule in different countries or not. They are also responsible for providing the vaccination to the countries, to the developing countries, like the countries who cannot afford the vaccines, the higher cost vaccines. Gavi is actually buying the vaccines from the companies and giving at a very low rate or sometimes in free also to some of the countries which actually need that vaccine. So, because of the efforts of WHO and Gavi, the global coverage of vaccination has actually enhanced dramatically, and a lot of vaccination programs are starting in a lot of countries. Okay? So, currently, we have vaccines to prevent more than 20 life-threatening diseases. We have a lot of vaccines going on in the market from all different companies for all different diseases. So at least 20, I'll say more than 20 life-threatening means serious diseases can be prevented just by vaccinating the children. Okay? So they will not only save the people's life, but they will make the life of the living people also healthier. And currently, we are able to prevent, globally I'm talking, we are able to prevent 3.5 to 5 million deaths every year from diseases like diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, influenza, and measles. Okay. So if we don't have vaccines, if we didn't have vaccines for these diseases, approximately 5 million children would have been dying. But we are able to save those deaths because we have the vaccines. So you can see the impact of vaccination, right? And last but not the least, the vaccines can also help to limit the spread of antibiotic resistance. This we will see how it is helping in the next coming slides. Okay. Now the next is challenges in global health. So what are the challenges currently? What are the challenges which the Earth, the all over the world, the people are facing? Okay, Earth as a planet, it is facing. One very important problem is I'll be discussing only the important problems because if we start to enumerate the problems, it will be like the list will be very long. So the first and very important problem is emerging and re-emerging diseases. So emerging disease means the disease which is now coming up. Like the people are encountering that particular infection or that particular disease for the first time. This disease was never there in the world before the current situation. They are called the emerging diseases. Re-emerging means there are certain diseases, like for example, malaria I'll take. So there are certain diseases like malaria, cholera, influenza, so pneumococcal diseases. So there was a time in the past, there were some years in the past when these diseases were emerging at a very high rate. Then a time came when the prevalence of these diseases were little lower. But again, now the diseases are again re-emerging. So that is the difference between emerging and re-emerging diseases. So these are some of the examples of emerging diseases and re-emerging diseases. Now there is one more problem that, for example, coronavirus. So we all know the recent COVID, right? So coronavirus infections were transmitted to humans from the bat. The bat is not human, it is in another species, right? So it is another mammalian species. So here we can see that infection from human to human is happening, but infections or diseases are also transmitted from another species to humans. So here comes the One Health strategy. One Health strategy means creating vaccinations or preventing the diseases in all the species, all the living organisms. So, because the interspecies connectivity is also emerging nowadays, right? So we have to, because we are in very close association with other species also. So here we have to give this One Health strategy a very important position, because with One Health strategy it is a strategy wherein the diseases or infections are prevented not only in humans but also in other species. And the next problem is vaccine hesitancy. This is a very big problem which we are seeing nowadays, right? Some of the countries are getting anti-vaccination. So I don't think it is a good idea to become an anti-vaccination, into that anti-vaccination lobby, because it is proven from centuries. It has been proving that vaccines are actually preventing the onset of lot of diseases, and it is saving the people, millions of people every year. But still there are some communities, I mean communities I'm talking as in the group of people. There are some group of people who are hesitant to take vaccinations for different reasons. Okay, so some of the important reasons I've just listed down here, that is misinformation, when there is a negative belief based on the myth. Sometimes the information is not passed on in a proper way. So it is the healthcare providers, the doctor's responsibility to provide the proper and accurate information to the patients. Then there is mistrust in the healthcare professionals. You know, the people sometimes don't trust the healthcare, the doctors. Sometimes there is a problem of cost also. Some of the vaccines are really expensive, so all the people may not be able to afford those vaccines. But again, we have a solution for this also. Like all the countries have brought in the national immunization programs for the important vaccinations. So this will not be a problem anymore. It is not a problem anymore. One more problem is geographical barriers. So geographical barriers means some of the vaccines manufactured in some of the countries are not able to reach the other part of the world. Though now the problem has been reduced, but we can see that sometimes this problem is also there, that we are able to manufacture the vaccines in a particular zone of the world, but where it is needed, like opposite end of the globe, sometimes the distribution of the vaccine is sometimes becoming a problem. And there are certain people who have the concerns about the vaccine safety. But we don't have to worry about the vaccine safety basically, because when the vaccine comes into the market, or for that matter, any medicine, when it comes into the market, they are already tested for their efficacy and safety. So safety is the first important parameter. Second, they test the efficacy. But first testing is done for the safety. So this should not be a concern. Okay? So there are certain strategies in which we can counter the vaccine hesitancy. Like first of all, we can educate the public by doing awareness camps. So we can go to the schools, colleges, the healthcare professionals I'm talking. So the healthcare professionals can go to the schools, colleges, even the faculty members in the colleges. Like especially we have the pharma fraternity here on the in the conference today, right? So we are the paramedical people, so here we can actually educate the children, the students and their parents, and to spread the awareness about the vaccinations and the importance of vaccination. Community engagement is also one of the techniques. Like I have seen in when I was working in academic institution, we had the group of students who used to go to different parts of the city. So I was working with DY Patil before this. So there, the pharmacy students used to make groups, like four, five people in a group. They used to go to different parts of Pimpri, Chinchwad, Pune, PCMC, right? So they used to go there and make the community engagement, and they used to explain the people about different health problems. Then the role of family physician is very important, because we really trust our doctors, right? So doctors have a very good and a very important role to play in combating or countering the vaccine hesitancy issue. redirect the social media with reliable information. This is very, very, very important. We whatever we see on WhatsApp, whatever we see on the Google chat, Google screen, we just believe it, right? So even Google to abhi bhi theek hai, but then even the WhatsApp messages, I have seen people like in my own extended family, some uncles, aunties, they are forwarding some or the other things which is not true, right? And then they'll be forwarding it, and then they will first send to one person, they will send to another 10 people, those 10 people will send to other 100 people. So this is the way social media is actually creating problems in spreading the misinformation. But we can actually utilize this social media platform in a good way also. So we have to redirect the social media with reliable information with the proofs. Okay, we can circulate the papers, the published papers. So that is a reliable information. So use the social media for redirecting the reliable information. Then some government policies are there to counter the vaccine hesitancy, addressing the misinformation and disinformation. The same thing we discussed, that we have to address what is the problem. Then where is the misinformation? Then we have to give the justification that why this information is wrong or right. Then communicating the research findings transparently. This is something which pharma companies and the pharma educators, like the faculty members, are responsible to do this. Faculty members as well as the company people who are doing the research, we have to transparently publish our research in the journals. Okay? Even if we don't have positive results, even if there are no positive results, still you have to publish what you got, not what we want. Okay? And then, of course, incorporate vaccination into routine prenatal care. So, people who are becoming pregnant or on the journey of pregnancy, they should be made aware about the vaccination schedules and the importance of vaccination. So, these are some of the ways. Of course, there are a lot. There may be a lot other ways also, but these are something which I could think about or find on the references. So, these are some of the points, strategies where we can counter the vaccination hesitancy. So the next is the impact of vaccines on global health. We have seen the problems associated with the global health right now. So how we can solve some of the issues with the use of vaccines. So how the vaccines can impact the global health, that we will see. First and foremost, eradication of some of the diseases, like smallpox. It is a very common example, and it is the first disease which got eradicated. We cannot see a single person with smallpox on the whole earth, right? On the whole globe. We don't have smallpox disease. It is completely eradicated from the world, right? That was the milestone which we achieved in 1979. So you can just calculate how many years we are down now, right? More than 50, I guess. Yeah. So, not more than 50, but almost, right? So, 45. So, even after 45 years, still we are on the verge of eradicating measles and polio, but still there are countries which still have the polio and measles still prevalent in their countries. But the eradication of the diseases is possible if we are going and vaccinating everybody, if we are able to educate everybody about vaccinations. There are so many other diseases which we can actually eradicate from the earth. Rinderpest is also one of the diseases, like it is a second disease which got eradicated, but this is not infecting the humans primarily. It first impacts, it causes a high mortality in cattle. Okay, so this is a cattle disease, but again one health one approach, right? So here even the humans can get infected from the cattle. So eradicating rinderpest is helpful to the humans also. Then next in line is polio. We are near eradication of polio. I will not say we have eradicated because there are still cases coming up in some of the countries, but in India, I don't think there is any polio. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there is no polio case in India, right? New infection of polio. Then next is measles again. So we are able to control measles to a very high extent. Again, eradication has not happened right till now, but still the success in controlling the measles is making this as another potential target of eradication. Okay? So I'm just not polio, measles. There are various other diseases also which are infectious and which can be prevented from vaccination. And we can actually make that particular disease go away from the earth completely. So it is possible because we have the data, right? So this is the example of measles. Okay, so the blue bars represents the number of cases. This is the data from 2013. So in 2024, 25, the number of cases are still less. Okay? So we can see that this blue dotted and yellow, red dotted lines are the coverage, official coverage, and WHO UNICEF coverage of the vaccination. So we can see the vaccination is going higher and higher and higher, and the number of cases is coming down, down and down. So they are inversely proportional. More the vaccination, decline will be the number of cases. Right? Next is we can also reduce the childhood mortality. So a lot of children die due to various diseases, various infectious diseases. So the number of infectious, I mean the percentage of infectious diseases is higher in children as compared to the non-infectious diseases. So when we take the 4 childhood vaccines, that is DPT, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, DPT vaccine, measles vaccine, rotavirus, and Haemophilus influenza B, that is HIB. Okay, just these 4 vaccinations in the year starting from 1990 to 2019, only if we talk about only these 4, the number of deaths happening due to these diseases, DPT, measles, rotavirus, or influenza, Haemophilus influenza infection, the number of deaths happening due to these 4 diseases have come down drastically in these years, okay? In these 20 years. So there is a reduced death globally of 86.9 million in 204 countries and territories. Means in 204 countries, more than 86 million people, more than 86 million children were able to live, or we were able to reduce these many deaths happening due to these diseases. So I'm talking only about these 4 diseases, right? When we talk about all the other infectious diseases for which we have the vaccines available, just imagine the number going to such a high extent where we can actually reduce the deaths globally, right? And there is global decline of 21.2 deaths per thousand live births, right? So this is a huge proportion which we can see. Again, there is a data from WHO. This was published on 24th of April 2024, wherein they have stated that global immunization efforts have saved at least 154 million lives over the past 50 years. Just in 50 years, we have saved more than 150 million lives, okay, because of immunization. So if the vaccination was not going on, we would have lost these many children. But we are not, we are happy that we are able to save these many children, minimum these many children, because of the global immunization efforts. And the last problem which I want to talk about is the antimicrobial resistance. So just imagine when we have any kind of infection, even if we have sneezing, or if we have bad throat, we just pop on the antibiotics without even checking whether this is a bacterial infection or a viral infection, right? If you're taking antibiotics for any viral infections, we all know it is not going to work. But still, azithromycin, take it. If we have bad throat, take azithromycin. We are not waiting to check whether what type of infection we have. Even if it is bacterial, still, what bacteria has affected us, we will not check all these things, right? So overall, only if we reduce these sore throat, or if we reduce such any kind of infections for which we take antibiotics, if we reduce the infections, we will not have these symptoms. If we don't have these symptoms, we will not pop on the antibiotics. So this will help in reducing the antimicrobial resistance, right, of the antibiotics. So for example, here there is an example which WHO has quoted very beautifully, that if every child in the world receives a vaccine to protect them from infection with one of the bacteria that causes pneumonia, that is Streptococcus pneumoniae. In that case, this would prevent around 11 million days of antibiotic use each year. Okay, so This is one example which they had given. So just one bacterial infection, Streptococcus pneumoniae, which can cause pneumonia, meningitis, and middle ear infections. If we are able to vaccinate the people, the children, from against this bacteria, we will be able to save 11 million days. We will be able to restrict the use of antibiotics for 11 million days. So it is a big thing, right? So if we are taking less of the infections, we will be able to bring down the resistance also. Another important part is which we have impact, I'll say, which we have from vaccines is on socio-economic benefits. Socio-economic benefits means we'll be able to save the money and we'll be able to increase the health quotient of the children and adults also. First, for example, vaccination can reduce hospitalization cost and increase productivity. We all know this, right? Because if we vaccinate the child is less likely to get the infection or not likely to get the infection at all. And in that case, hospitalization will not be required. The cost involved in hospitalization not required, and the child will be so healthy that the productivity of the child, or in case of adults also. So if my child is not keeping well, even my productivity at my workplace will not be that good, right? So this will help the productivity of the child as well as the adult, the caretaker or the parents or the relatives of that child, right? So by vaccinating, we can reduce the hospitalization cost and increase the productivity also. So this data is for the low and middle income countries. So here we are from 2001 to 2020. In these 20 years, we have seen that vaccination was able to decrease the overall cost of 10 vaccine preventable diseases. And what was the decrease in the cost? We were able to save 295 billion euros. Okay. So this was a total 295 billion euros, right? We were able to save this much cost by vaccination. Because of vaccination, the children hospitalization was reduced, and therefore the economical burden was also reduced. Right? So this is a direct comparison. Next is the health population contributes to a more productive workforce, which we just discussed, right? So in case of children, they will be able to attend the schools more regularly. They'll be able to attend their classes more regularly, attend their sports more regularly. So the productivity will be really good, and their parents will also be able to have a higher productivity because they will be free of the stress of children's illness. And vaccination also brings significant socio-economic benefits. So compared to those who are unvaccinated, on an average, the vaccinated children attend school more regularly, have better cognitive performance. Yes, cognitive performance is also very important because just attending the school is not enough. There, the child should be able to learn and grasp the new things, right? So cognitive performance is also improved, and they are able to obtain the higher grades, not only in the studies, but also in the other sports and other co-curricular activities. And vaccinated adults, the vaccination is there for adults also. I just showed the schedule to you, right? So the vaccinated adults are more likely to participate in the workforce, tend to work more hours, and with the increased productivity. Just sitting in office, no, they are sitting in the office and working productive outcome is also really very high in the vaccinated population, adults, as compared to non-vaccinated. Okay. So finally, we can say that small investment can compare to high financial returns. So we have really small investment by just buying a vaccine, getting the child vaccinated or getting yourself vaccinated, whereas the return is really high. We'll be able to save a lot of things, a lot of money, right? Here they have seen, they have shown one, just a comparison, one coin of investment into the vaccine will save you 4 coins, right? A stitch in time saves nine. That's a very commonly used proverb, right? So this was about the infectious communicable diseases which we talked. Now the vaccines also have a very good role to play in non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable disease means the diseases which cannot be spread from one person to another person. Right? They are infectious. They can be caused due to organisms, but not communicable as such. Now there are certain, according to WHO, the non-communicable diseases have a very high burden on the public health. Approximately, they have shown that in the year 2000, this data is 2020. So approximately, they have shown that 28 premature deaths in the world is happening every minute because of non-communicable diseases. Okay, so every minute, 28 premature deaths are happening, which is close to 74% of death globally each year. So this is a big number. All right. Now, this problem is majorly there in the lower and middle income countries as compared to the high income countries. Here, the main players of the non-communicable diseases are cancers, autoimmune diseases, and Alzheimer's and heart disease. So, first coming to the cancers. So, there is a lot of research going on into vaccines for different types of cancers. Currently, there was a launch of the indigenous HPV vaccine also. We have the HPV vaccine in the world for quite many years, but India also launched this HPV vaccine currently. So, but just not HPV, I'm talking about all the other cancers also. So, majorly 16% of all the cancer cases in the world are caused by infectious agents. Non-communicable, but infectious. Okay. So 16% of all the cancers can be caused by infectious agents. So if infectious agent is involved, means it can be prevented by using vaccines, right? So 10% of all these cancers can be prevented with vaccines. The two major types of cancers which can be prevented by vaccines is hepatitis B, which can cause liver cancer, and human papilloma virus, which can cause cervical cancer. So when the hepatitis B vaccine was introduced in the routine immunization program of the developing countries, that was a major turning point for protecting the people from liver cancer. Okay. So in the past 10 years, Gavi, which we just mentioned before, like WHO, this is also one of the bodies, especially for vaccines. So this Gavi alliance supported immunization of 267 million infants against hepatitis B in the developing countries. And because of this very good step taken by Gavi, they were able to prevent 3.8 million deaths from liver cancer. If this vaccination was not done, we we would have lost 3.8 million children. But we were able to save all these because of the vaccination. Similar cases and similar prevention can also be possible by using the HPV vaccines against the HPV viruses. Coming to autoimmune diseases, so the research is going on several therapeutic vaccines for autoimmune diseases also. Some of them are rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes. I myself am working on type 1 diabetes. Then celiac disease, Addison's disease. So all these are the autoimmune diseases. Here also immune system is involved, means vaccination can be possible, right? So here in the therapeutic vaccines, scientists are using the autoantigens, they glycosylate them and they inject it into the body, which will be presented to the antigen presenting cells, and they will then, through different mechanisms, they will be then targeting the autoimmune cells. We won't get into detail because this is a very detailed cycle. And there are different types of therapeutic vaccines available. Like, for example, molecular-based vaccines are available, wherein the protein or peptide is used, or DNA vaccines are used, or RNA vaccines are mRNA vaccines are used. Second types of vaccines which are used as therapeutic vaccines for autoimmune diseases is vector-based vaccines. Okay, here they use the viral vector or the bacterial vector or yeast-based vector. And some of the vaccines are cell-based vaccines, wherein they will use the dendritic cells, which are also known as antigen-presenting cells. They will use the dendritic cells to make the vaccines, and or they may be using genetically modified cell vaccines. So each of these vaccines, each of these types, again, it is a very detailed science, but I'm just giving you an overview of what kind of therapeutic vaccines can be used or for the autoimmune diseases. There is a very good future potential for the people who are working in Alzheimer's and heart diseases also, because even the vaccinations are under development for the Alzheimer disease as well as for the some of the heart diseases. See, all these autoimmune diseases, Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancers, all these are the problems which involves inflammation. So once we are able to manage the inflammation through our vaccines, we are able to manage the disease. So root causes inflammation. Now, there are certain global vaccination strategies which are there. I just mentioned three of them here again, just to sum it up. One is WHO, which is World Health Organization, Gavi, Vaccine Alliance, and UNICEF. So these are the bodies which are actually committed to provide the vaccines to all the developing countries or the countries which cannot buy vaccines or buy the very, what do you say, costly vaccines. So these are the bodies which are helping them. They are also playing a very big role in coverage and equity, and of course they are changing the life of the people who are staying in the countries which cannot get the vaccines on their own. And of course they are also involved in a lot of research and innovation. So WHO, Gavi, UNICEF, they are also promoting the research in the government and private sectors of different countries. They are, some of them are also funding, some of the agencies are also funding the research, and if not funding, they are at least giving their scientific inputs and scientific know-how, and extending the technologies to the researchers, to the scientists in the private as well as public sector or the government sectors. Not just in India, this is over worldwide. Now coming to the last section, that is the future of vaccinology. So recently, the very two famous scientists, Catalan and Giroux, they have won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in the year 2023, right? So they had won the Nobel Prize for the development of mRNA technology, by which we are able to make mRNA vaccines now. Pharmaceutical companies are innovating for the next generation vaccines. Along with pharmaceutical companies, the basic research and technologies are also being developed in the academic institutions. So here again, there can be a very good bridging between the academic and the pharmaceutical sectors or the corporate sectors, because they can go hand in hand. The faculties, the researchers, the PG, PhD students from the academic institutions can join hands with the industry partners, and then their brain and this technology, they can just merge together and come up with really good next generation vaccines. So innovation could improve the simplicity and efficacy of the vaccine delivery. So there are different routes of delivery systems also. When we talk about vaccines, we have different route of vaccine delivery, right? Usually we take injections, intramuscular injections. But apart from that, we have intravesical injections, we have subcutaneous, we have intradermal, then we have oral vaccines also, we have nasal vaccines also. So a lot of scope is there, a lot of innovation scope is there in the route, delivery route also, right? Now here we can see that all these technologies are now used. So initially live attenuated viruses were used, right? बहुत पहले. This was like, for example, smallpox and all. So even BCG is a live attenuated bacterial vaccine. So when we were, the past was like we were working on the live weakened bacteria or viruses, but now we have again come up with mRNA vaccine technology, recombinant DNA platforms, then VLP based vaccines, right? Like the COVID vaccine. Even one of the companies, Pfizer, has used mRNA technology also for their COVID vaccines. Right? A lot of other research is going on the development of vaccines from mRNA technology. Then there is a very new technology which is recombinant nanoparticles, peptide vaccines. So from live we have come to, or we have evolved to all these new technology vaccines. And further also, I don't know. I mean, these are the currently available technologies, but they can be various other technologies also by which we can uplift the vaccinology overall. There is a very big or a very huge contribution of artificial intelligence and machine learning also in the designing of the vaccines, because AIML, which we call right now. So in conclusion, I would like to say that vaccines are able to save a lot of health, a lot of lives. It is a life-saving tool against global health threats. So a lot of infections are coming up, a lot of communicable, non-communicable diseases are emerging, re-emerging. But then we have vaccines to fight against all those things, right? So we have seen the examples of how eradication is happening, how the vaccines are able to increase the global health. Next is we have to invest a little, research a little, and collaborate a little for the upliftment of the vaccinology science. Invest, I mean investment with the money from the funding sources, investment of time. We have to give a lot of time. We have to do the research and we have to collaborate. So collaboration is really a very big and important thing which we have to consider. When we talk about our research, it's just not my research or your research, right? Especially the faculty members who are here, you must be doing a lot of research in your institutes. But you always need somebody's help. I mean, if I'm good in one thing, I will need, if I have the mechanism, I have the protein, I have the peptide with which I'll be working. But the formulation scientist, of course, for somebody from the pharmaceutics department will have to help me. And pharmacologist is also required to do the trials, right? So this collaboration is really important. Collaboration within the institute and collaboration among the institutes. So, intra and inter. And lastly, support vaccination programs and fight misinformation. This is a very important thing. We really have to support the vaccination programs which are there, which the national bodies are coming up with. We have to be a part of it, help them, educate the other people, and we have to fight the misinformation and give the right information to the people. So that is it from my side. I have mentioned this before also. A stitch in time will save nine. I mean, just vaccinate and you will be able to save your child or your loved ones or even yourself with a lot of dangerous, life-threatening diseases. So you info@tvndm.org is my email ID if you want to contact for any of the topics here, we can do that. Any questions?
Yes. कुठे?
I'll stop screen sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Some questions are there.
Yes.
Yes. Can you see, ma'am, question on screen?
Yes,
What
yes,
are
yeah.
yes, yes.
Challenges encountered in vaccine research and development. Yeah. So challenges, yes, because I myself am working on development of a vaccine. So I started this work in 2016, and still I'm not up with it. So there are a lot of challenges, I'll say. So first of all, lot of people are working on lot of drug molecules and other stuff like delivery systems. But overall vaccine industry is really smaller as compared to the other pharmaceutical sectors. That is one problem, one challenge that we are, especially in my case, I was having a lot of difficulty in getting connected to the right mentor. Finally, I could, but then, there is this gap is there. Another problem is funding, which is also encountered in a lot of cases because when we go to the funding agencies, they will ask for the data. And to generate the data, we need some funding. So it is a cycle. So what I would suggest to the researchers right now is you do a minor small study, generate some data, and then go to the funding agencies. So here the institutes where you're working, they can give you the seed fund. So these are the major two challenges. If you collaborate, of course, that will be a very good way to encounter the problems which we get in vaccine research and development. Yeah. How the cost of vaccine is decided. Yeah, so here the cost basically they decide. I'm not much into the costing part, but how whatever I know, I'll share. So initially, they will see the total cost which was involved in the whole development, that is the invention, innovation, because a lot of funding is required in the development stage also, right? So here they will calculate that cost. Then they will calculate the manufacturing cost also. The higher the manufacturing capacity is there in the company, lesser will be the cost, right? So the company with smaller manufacturing units, their company's vaccines may be a little expensive because they have to put in. So of course the innovation cost is involved, then the manpower's cost is involved, then the ingredients whatever are used, they are that is involved. Storage is also one of the very big thing which is having which needs a lot of cost. So all these costs, process, manufacturing, and of course some profit of the company also. So all these costs are involved in the are involved in deciding the final cost of the product.
Yes, ma'am. One more question is there.
Yes,
Uh,
sure. Would like to know something. Sometimes children suffer from typhoid multiple times in spite of vaccination. Is it based on any specific treatment? I am sorry, I don't know. I will maybe Dr. Debolo, you can email this question to me. I'll ask the expert, the who is working on typhoid, and get back to you for sure. So we have a very good expert scientist who in our company who's working on typhoid. So I'll get this answered.
okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. No issue.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of principal and faculty members of Gokhale Education Society, Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi College of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Nasik. I am Smita Shirke here. Uh, Glad to place on record a big thank you to Dr. Shivani Desai, ma'am, on her exhaustive talk on vaccination, a way forward to combat health challenges. She had explained it extensively and also explained it, elaborated it so nicely that we understood each and every aspect of vaccination. So thank you very much, ma'am, for everything. Uh, on behalf of our college, kindly accept this certificate of appreciation, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I can leave the studio.
Yes, ma'am, you can. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you
ma'am.
so much, ma'am. Thanks, thanks. Yeah.